Influencers is brought to you by
Joint Care, supplements to keep you active. Soya Studios, located in the Flowers Plaza, Carmichael Road West. Global Transformation Media, transforming you from the inside out. The Affirmation Nation. And Guardian Talk Radio. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. Welcome to Influencers on Guardian Talk Radio, 96.9 FM, and I am your host, Lady Shema. This show is a platform to highlight the transformational impact of global and national influencers who use the power of their influence to promote positive change. We also bring focused attention to the personal stories of influencers with the hope that their tenacity in the face of hard-hitting challenges and their unrelenting resilience will inspire the comeback spirit in every local and international listener. And today, we visit the inspiring and exhilarating experiences of local influencer turned international creative influencer who has used his multiplicity of outstanding talents to create a pathway into the hearts of multiple thousands, more specifically across the western United States. Rising from humble beginnings in Pinewood Gardens, Nassau, he used his voice to swoon his way to top spots in both the gospel and secular music arena nationwide. Now he rubs shoulders and works with some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry after taking adventurous leaps of faith towards establishing his artistic print on the international stage. Today, I speak with creative influencer Jonathan Farrington as he comes to us live from LA, California, as we converse on the topic 242 Dreams coming to life on the world stage. All this and more when we return here on Influencers on Guardian Talk Radio, 96.9 FM.
Hey, Dad, want a race?
Well, let's see who's trying to keep up with who today.
Oh, because you need a head start?
I'm already way ahead of you, son.
Keep up with what matters. Joint Care supplements your active lifestyle by supporting your bones, cartilage, muscles with essential nutrients. Joint Care helps to reduce inflammation with omega-3 and replenishes glucosamine, a natural compound vital to healthy cartilage and joints. Choose the Joint Care formula that is right for you. Supplex, Complete, and Max are available at your local pharmacy. Joint Care, a part of the 7 C's family of vitamins and supplements.
Need your picture taken? Well, if you want it to look its best, then go to the best. It's Soya Studios, capturing your special events, portraits, passport, job, and visa photos. Plus, there's more. Also offering professional printing services of business cards, letterheads, signs, and banners. Opened Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a legacy. 28 years and growing. Located in the Flowers Plaza, Carmichael Road. Call 361-7786. ACG Wholesale is the answer for retail grocery store owners and everyday shoppers who want to save big. ACG carries a variety of drinks, snacks, meat products, essential dry goods like rice and yellow grits, plus lots of wholesome produce. And ACG Wholesale is a proud distributor of Borden's Milk. Opened Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Located next to Phoenix Supermarkets on East Street South. Call 392-1155. That's ACG Wholesale with quality service and great prices. Welcome back to Influencers here on Guardian Talk Radio, 96.9 FM, and I am your host, Lady Shema, and in with me today, local influencer turned international creative influencer, singer, actor, model, Jonathan Farrington, coming to us live all the way from LA, California. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Sister Shema.
Listen, I am so excited to have you on the show. I've not spoken to you for a long minute, but you are definitely making waves on the international scene. Of course, we're very, very familiar with your brand. You know, you really exploded here in the Bahamas, and just about everybody's, really familiar with your voice, with your talent, with your presence, with your feel, with your vibe.
Wow.
And I think you maxed out the 242, and you're like, you know what? I got to spread my wings, right? I think that's all what happened to you. Yes.
That sounds about right. That's very accurate.
All right. And so I'm very excited though, because, the world needs what you carry. It really does,
Wow.
I'm excited that you had the faith and the boldness to take it a step further. Now, today's show has a very, very special and unique objective. And it is to inspire local influencers who have dreams that cannot be contained, in the 242 space. Those creatives, those thought leaders who know that they are destined to take their vision, their gift and talents to the world. And so I would like you, Jonathan Farrington, I'll probably be calling you Johnny, for the rest of the show, maybe.
Yes.
To take us,
Please.
I want you to take us on a journey through chronological time. Give us lens into those unique experiences which have influenced you to be where you are today, as well as to, give creative influencers steps, the do's and don'ts of transitioning from the local platform to an international platform. And so right now, at the beginning of the show, I want you to lay the foundation. Of course, we know that you, well, maybe not all of the listeners, but you grew up in Pinewood, became a well-known singer here, using your gift to encourage, to inspire. Something happened. That's the point where I want you to start with your story. Something happened on the inside of you where you said, okay, I've taken the 242 by storm. I believe there's more. Tell us about that moment in your life.
Well, that moment was a very interesting and divine moment for me, because that was the first time where I wouldn't say the first time, but one of the moments in my life where I heard God speak to me, or I felt God speak to me in a way, whereas, God speaks to people in so many different ways. Some people will see visions, they will have dreams, there's just a knowing or a feeling, or you may even have, somebody who represents a God-like figure in your life, maybe your mother or your pastor, and you see them in a dream or you hear their voice. Because it's a familiar voice, God, he's using them. Or sometimes you just hear a particular voice, however God uses people to get a message across, and however he speaks to his people. But I heard the voice of God say to me, he was like, you have been faithful over little. Now I'm about to make you, increase your capacity for this more that you've been desiring. Because at that moment, I felt like I had reached a cap. And I'm going to talk about the moment. I'm going to talk about the moment. But I heard the voice of God say, I want to give you something. I want to bless you. So he said, choose a school in New York, an acting school, because he knows that I love acting. He knows that I've always wanted to go to acting school. I actually always wanted to go to Juilliard, but he said, choose a school, and whatever it is, I will fit the bill for you. Because at the time I didn't have the money.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, God, like what? So literally that evening, I went online and I found two schools. I decided not to do Juilliard because I had already done College of the Bahamas at the time. And I didn't want to be in school for 4 years again. I wanted to do an accelerated program. So I found a school that did that. I found two schools and I decided to audition for those schools. So I had literally that night I researched and I found the school. So while all this was going on, what I was actually doing was I had left my job. I was working in Royal Bank at the time to go into full-time ministry, to lead praise and worship at a church, and to focus on imparting into other young singers and worship leaders around the nation, in the Bahamas, in Nassau specifically, and just really just sacrificing my early 20s to just pour out and give the knowledge that I had into other young people, and just to be used by God to use my voice in any form, any which way I could. And I was doing this for a few years, and you talked about it at the beginning, and I felt like I'd reached a moment where I was like, okay, God, well, I've done all this, right? I feel like I've reached the ceiling. And I know that, we as believers, when we are in God or anything, that life is about progression. You know what I mean? Life is about moving forward. And every time you get stuck or you're in a place where you're feeling stunted, then you got to take stock and be like, okay, something's up. I need to sit and figure out what's going on, because life is all about evolution and evolving to the next phase in life until, everything's wrapped up.
Until you come to the best version of yourself, right? And
right.
Maximizing your potential. Go on. You started to say something else?
Yeah, no. So I had reached that point. So I was talking to God. So in that moment, he spoke back to me and he said, choose a school, because I want to grant you the desires of your heart. This is what you want. You've been faithful, so this is what you have. So I did it, Shema. I signed up on for orientation, and I actually flew to New York to audition for these schools, and I got a call that I was actually accepted into both schools. And not only was I accepted, and yes, literally, not only was I accepted after my audition, but I was also given scholarships.
Oh my goodness.
Towards the school. Now, bear in mind, you got
scholarships for both schools?
Both schools. I was accepted.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Right. I was accepted scholarships, but these weren't full scholarships. These were just partial scholarships.
Still though.
Still right. Like that was like the first sign of like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I got this, because again, I didn't have the money. These schools are like really expensive. This is in New York. You think about like lodging and where you're gonna stay and how you're gonna eat and all these other things, right?
That's the cost of living, right?
It's just the cost of living alone is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I began the journey of trusting God for a greater level of purpose in my life, a level that I had not seen physically, but I could only see it in my imagination. So I saw it in my mind, in my imagination, but I didn't have access to it physically. So I began the work that I needed to do to then access that next level in my life. So that required me to my faith had to go to another level. My boldness, my determination, it had to shift to a whole nother level. And as I began to move, God began to give me ideas, and he began to connect me with the right people, and he began to like move me into the right spaces. So he began to send the right people, because I was already in alignment. So he already started to align things for me. And that was 2016 that I auditioned. By the fall of 2017, I was on my way on a plane headed to New York to begin studies at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
And so you're literally seeing this in your mind's eye, in your heart, really. There's a picture, right?
There's a picture.
Yeah, you said that you had to do the work, though, to bring that from just being in your heart to bringing it to fruition, to bringing it to manifestation. Talk to us a little bit about the actual work. Talk to us about that word that a lot of people probably don't necessarily like, right? They see the glory, they see the end product, but, you got to work the middle, right? Talk to us about this work as it pertains to your story and your experience.
So the work starts inwardly. It has to start from a place of when you know that God has called you to do something. Yeah. You have to buckle yourself in that knowing, because there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of situations, a lot of people that are going to try to come and deter you from that. But the foundation, you have to be sure that this is what God has called me to. And then you move forward in that boldness, and you move forward in the work. The work entails you beginning to do all of the things that you need to do. I needed to apply for more scholarships. I needed to all of the things that the schools were requiring me to do. I had to send in audition tapes. I had to send in my transcripts, and I had to go back to COB and ask them for transcripts. I had to get references from teachers and people and all these things, and I was like, man, this is a lot of work. But again, these are the things that I needed to do. I also had to prepare the people that I was training, the people that I had already instilled all of these skills and techniques. And I remember I had my group Grace Generation, and I had to prepare them. Yes. Right. And I was like, guys, I'm about to transition. So I want you guys to know that what I've taught you and what I've given you, you guys are now going to be the ones in my position to fill these spaces. You know what I mean? So I had to prepare them, and it wasn't a good, feeling for a lot of them, because they were like, well, we just started this, and where are you going to go? And, this is crazy. Really fresh,
right? And you're like, okay, now I got to go.
Yeah, now I got to go. And I was like, God, why do you have me doing this? Like, I'm finally building a relationship. We just did an album, Grace to the Nations, and the songs were playing on the radio. It was just going so good. And God was like, I'm doing something. You got to watch me. So I was like, okay, I got to do it. So I had to fight that emotional process, and we got over it. But again, just a lot of things, and I couldn't share this with everybody. Like, nobody knew what was going on with me at the time. I was very, very peculiar and very safeguarded on who I told what was going on with me. I didn't even really tell much people. And I think that's another thing that I want to drop in there with, whenever you're going to the next level in your life, it's going to be a very, very private moment for you. It won't involve a lot of people around you. And that's when you know God is doing something in your life, because he will literally separate you from the familiar people and the familiar places, because he's doing something new in you. So all of this was going on with me. So the work really starts inwardly, and then it starts with the physical manifestations, the things that you do when you wake up. You know, you have to set intentions. You have to be focused. You can't allow things to sidetrack you. And you have to do everything in your human nature possibly to do everything that you need to do. Dot your I's and cross your T's, and then God will put the super on your natural.
And then God will put the super on your natural. I love that.
Right.
And,
yes.
You know, for those persons just tuning in, I'm speaking with Jonathan Farrington, gone from, 242 influencer to international creative influencer, and speaking with him on the topic 242 dreams coming to life on the world stage. 242 dreams coming to life on the world stage. And I'm just loving how you're taking us back into, the story and experiences of your life, and giving us some insight and some inspiration and some encouragement, some do's and don'ts, some instructions on how to really grow, to expand, to take the vision, to take the talent, to take the giftedness just from the 242 platform, which is great in and of itself. But there are so many creatives here. What it is that they have, it's for the international platform, definitely for global stage. And we can go on and on about that. And I want us to talk a bit about probably even some of the inspiration that you have gleaned from other Bahamians who've taken it from the 242 to the international stage. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on down in the show. But let's go more along the lines of, your story, your experience in chronological time. And so you had this moment with God where you receive an instruction from him, and you're like, you know what it is? I'm going to do the work, and I'm actually going to take steps of faith towards bringing it to fruition, towards bringing it to manifestation. So you end up in school in New York, and you said, you heard him say to you that I am going to make the provision. I am going to see this to come to pass. I am going to give you what it is that you need in order to do what it is that I have called you to do. So there's a lot of faith going on there. Now, one of the events of your life that really established you, I believe, on the international scene was when you sang at the Apollo. I had goosebumps. Which year was that again?
That was 2019.
That was 2019 when you sang that song that we all know so well, So High by John Legend. You put a twist on that. I wouldn't be surprised if John Legend called you, okay? I've never heard anyone sing that song like that before. I'm sorry, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness, our very own 242, Jonathan Farrington. Listen to what he did to that man's song.
My gosh, my goodness.
Talk about how that helped to establish you, to really encourage your confidence, and to, help you on the journey that you're still on now. You've come a long way, but there's still time to go. But talk about the context of that experience of singing at the Apollo and how that really helped to give you that big start.
Well, before I go there, at some point in the conversation, remind me to tell you about the slingshot, okay?
Okay,
I'm gonna just put that in there.
I'll just think about David and I'll remember the slingshot. Okay.
Okay. So basically, that moment was, oh man. So I kind of prophesied it when I moved to New York. I had moved into Harlem. And if anyone has ever been in New York and in Harlem, it's the culture alone, it's just a vibrant city. And it's culturally heavy. It was where the Harlem Renaissance started. A lot of the Black creatives from the Renaissance period, like that's where it was, Black power, Black excellence. A lot of it was there in the 60s and the 50s. So basically just being there, you can feel it. And you pass the, on the 125th stop, there's the Apollo Theater. And the first time that I walked up to it, I was like, my goodness, all of the greats have performed on this stage. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, gospel artists have performed there. Mary Kirk Franklin, Johnny McClurkin, everyone that you can think of in the industry. And I looked at that, and I actually have a picture where I'm pointing at the sign, and I'm like, one day I'm going to be able to perform on this stage.
You spoke that thing.
I spoke it into existence. That was in 2017 when I first moved there, not knowing that 2 years later, I would mount the stage, not once, not twice, but 3 times to sing.
3 times.
Three
Okay.
times.
Wow. I didn't even realize it was 3 times. Amazing.
It was 3 times. Yep. I was called back. And the second time I'd sung Oceans. So I'd sung yeah. And I'll never forget. I walked out of the theater. But here's the story. I sung at the theater and there was a woman who was battling cancer, stage 4 cancer, who was looking for me. Because I walked out of the audience and there were people that were like, man, like I've never heard anybody sing that song like that. They didn't even know, some of them didn't even know that song. But this woman in particular, she stood out to me because she said, I've been battling stage 4 cancer for years. And she said, when you sung that song, she said, all I could do was think about where I was and where God had me. She said, tonight, I truly felt the Spirit of God. And I just want to give God everything. Like she just cried out to me. I even have a photo of that where she's just hugging me and squeezing me. It was crazy. What
an amazing experience. And so you said that you sang at the Apollo. Now 3 times you sung there.
Yeah, 3 times. 3 times. It's been 3 times.
And there are a lot of icons in the industry, who can't even say that they have sung at the Apollo 3 times. And so this is an amazing feat, believe me. But how did that actually really help you in your start and catapult you to receiving even bigger opportunities and moving forward with what it is that you went to New York to do?
Well, what it did was a friend of mine's told me this revelation is that whatever you do, whenever your audience changes or whenever you start speaking or singing or whatever you do before an audience that is different from where you started, that just meant that you've shifted, you've gone to another level. Mm-hmm. You've accessed another dimension. Yeah, that was really good when he said that to me, a friend of mine's. And I was like, man, that's really good. And that was a moment where I realized, wow, God had shifted me, because there was words spoken over my life that I would sing to nations and sing to places, but I was still in the Bahamas and I was still singing to the same people. And I didn't have a problem with that. It was just that, it was a certain cap that I was reaching. So when I accessed this new level and I was singing to people from different countries and different places and on different platforms, I was like, oh, so God, this is like a new level. So my mindset changed and everything from that moment changed. I had graduated from acting school right then, right in that same year, the next year, and that began my journey of my acting career on stage. I was performing on tour all around the United States. This was right before the pandemic. We were in different states performing on stage, and I was making connections with different people in the industry, writing for different artists, collaborating with different artists, singing background vocals, everything had changed. And I was like, wow, great exposure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really great exposure. And I would even have random moments where I would literally just show up at places and I would see people in the business. One of the instances was I went to watch the Black Panther movie in Times Square with a friend of mine, and we were together and we were just talking about it. And after the fact, we walk out of the theater, and who should we see? Another fellow Bahamian on the stage. I mean, who's on the world stage? Michael K. Williams. God bless his soul. He passed most recently. But Michael, I don't know if you're familiar with that actor.
No.
Okay, so he is on The Wire, this HBO show that's been around for a while. He's been in 12 Years a Slave. Really well known actor that is Bahamian, that has Bahamian roots.
I'm going to have to look him up.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. He's in the theater, and I walk up to him and I'm like, Michael, and he's looking at me. He's like, should I know you? And I said, yes, you should. I said, because I'm Bahamian. And he was like, my Bahamian brother. And, he's embracing me. He's hugging me. There's a video of me singing "'Tis So Sweet" to Jesus, because actually there was an altercation that happened with a few of his entourage people. And, we had to he was trying to bring it down. So we ended up praying in the midst of Times Square. And then I ended up singing a song, and we exchanged contacts. And I mean, just like random things like that would just happen. I was like, God, you're really doing some amazing things. Yeah, just experiences like that.
Really amazing experience right there. And while I remember, please tell me what's the name of the school that you actually decided to attend, because you said that you were accepted to 2 schools.
Yes. So the school that I got into, the school that I accepted was the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Okay, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Okay.
Yes. It's a pretty prestigious school. It's been around since 1918. So it's a London-based acting school, and they have one in Los Angeles. I decided not to go to that one because I always wanted to live in New York. That was another dream of mine that God answered. And so I lived in New York and I studied there and got that full experience. Really great school. Graduated with the Lawrence Lagner Award for Best Voice in Theater. Like,
congratulations, the best voice in theater. Hold on now. You're saying all of these amazing things, and just glossing over it, right? Let's soak it in just for a little minute. Repeat that. Say that one more time. What's the name of the award?
They give an award for the best male and the best female for voice in theater.
Okay.
Meaning that your
this
voice
is in the entire institution.
This is in the entire institution over the entire graduating class, and we have different actors. And my cohort was a cohort of, I think, of 114 students, and we're all from all around the world, like Israel and Barbados and Argentina and Venezuela and France, and like literally, I was the only Bahamian from that class, but
And you won the award.
I won the award for Best Male Voice in Theater of that year.
Absolutely amazing. And I'm sure that further emboldened your confidence that, hey, I'm really going to be able to do what it is that God has given me to do. Because, it's what it is that we glean and what it is that we gain from each step of the journey, We need it to be sustained in the next phase or in the next dimension. And that's why we ought never to ever underestimate, the small beginnings or those little private moments that really gives us what we need. Yeah, because it's one thing to start, but are you going to finish? Are you going to
finish? Yes.
Exactly. That is so very important. There are so many persons who started but never got to complete. Go ahead.
No, I was literally just about to say that, like the level of doubt and insecurity sometimes that may creep in because we're human, right? And I also just want to put this plug in because we just had another recent Bahamian graduate from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts who graduated from the Los Angeles campus. Her name is Malaika Pinder, and she actually won the award which is like the most outstanding performer overall. So you got to get her on.
I was actually going to mention her later on down, but you're reading my script in my head. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just got to plug her in because that's my fellow alumni, and I went to her graduation.
Pinder. Oh my God, a voice.
I went to her graduation. She's amazing.
A voice out of this world. And so it's just really what is, Baja amazing is the fact that we're such a little country, right? And the whole scheme of things and looking, through the lens of the entire world and making such an impact. There's next to nowhere that you can go in the world. And you talk about the Bahamas and people don't know what you're talking about. From our accomplishments, especially in the world of sports, in the world of the arts, in the world of film, right? This place per capita is probably one of the most talented and gifted places in the entire world. When you look at it through the lens and the context of per capita, right? Looking at the size of the nation, looking at the amount of persons, the population, and then juxtaposing that against, the amount of persons who actually walk with a gift or a talent that is world or globe worthy, right? And that in and of itself is just what I call Baja amazing, right?
Small but mighty.
Listen, very much so. And for those persons just joining in or tuning in, the topic for today, 242 Dreams Coming to Life on the World Stage. And I'm speaking with international creative influencer, our very own Jonathan Carrington. I just love saying that because I believe I would have I said this to you before too, while you were here in Nassau, that listen, this is definitely not it for you, right? That
I remember that.
Exactly, the world stage is yours to be had.
You've always been my cheerleader. You've always been one of my cheerleaders. Always. Right? From I was a teenager, so always.
One of them,
and I've always admired you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But listen, I'm telling you, man, such a major inspiration. And we're going to go to break in a short bit, but right before we go to break, I believe that this is a good place for us to segue and go into you talking about the slingshot. You said, don't let the show end, and you don't remind me about the slingshot. Right?
Yes.
So talk about that. What do you mean?
So the slingshot, and it serves so many revelations, because you talked about the slingshot with David. You know, I would just slip this part in there. The slingshot represents, what do you have when you are trying to come up against a giant dream or a giant Goliath in your life? You know, you use what you have. All David had was stones and a slingshot. You know, he only had the slingshot first. He had to go and find the stones, you know, so you use what you have. There are a lot of creatives right now who are like, well, I don't have a lot of connections, or I'm not connected to this person, or I'm not, you know, I don't have a lot of things that I could use to like show my gifting. You have so many opportunities right now to put yourself out there and for your gift to be seen. You have social media. You have, there are a lot of creatives inside the churches who are just, you know, like, oh, I'm gifted, I can do this. But like, okay, is your church lacking a music department? Is your church lacking an acting department? Look at Tyler Perry. He started doing acting in the church. And now he has a whole studio. He has a whole network. He has his own Hollywood going on. So it's like, you got to start with what you have. There are so many vacancies that are in churches or in organizations or in just in general in our country. And I want to speak to creatives right where you are. Like, just use what you have. Go on social media. You know that you're a great comedian. You know, just by the sound of your voice, you can make people laugh. Go on social media. Go on TikTok. Go on Instagram. Share funny stories. If you got an amazing singing voice, put those covers up there. Somebody is going to hear you. And that is going to give you the motivation to then move into the next phase, and then the next phase, and the next phase. And soon you'll know it. You'll be singing at national events.
I'm feeling it.
Listen, they'll be calling you to host events or doing like major projects with tourism or the Ministry of Culture. There are opportunities, and that is going to skyrocket you to the next phase in your career. When I was 16 years old, I was not only singing in my church choir, I was singing in Shabbat. I was singing with
everywhere.
I was singing with the Bahamas National Youth Choir. Everywhere. So it wasn't just in the church, but it was also outside the church. I'll never forget my first trip with the Bahamas National Youth Choir. We went to South Africa. I was 16 years old. I was the youngest person on that trip.
Wow.
And I was 16 years old.
Yes. And what you're sharing right now, I'm going to call this the Slingshot Concept. That's what I'm going to call it. The Slingshot Concept, which is simply use what it is that you have. Whatever it is you have, use it. And this thing, with the advent of the pandemic, one of the benefits, right? Of course, there's a lot of bad that happened with the pandemic. That's an understatement. But one of the good things that came out of it, though, was it sort of leveled the playing field, right?
It did.
Everybody's on social media. The biggest names had to find their home on a Facebook, on a TikTok, on an Instagram, because that was the only way to continue to get your services and your message out, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're still there. We're still in that space. So no matter which country you're coming from now, right? You're still on the same platform as the biggest names in the world. So There you go. Use what it is that you have, the Slingshot Concept. I'm totally loving it. And we're going to have to go to a break now. You're listening into Influencers here on Guardian Talk Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Lady Shema, speaking in with influencer, creative, all the way from the 242, but making big things happen on the international world stage, Mr. Jonathan Farrington. We're going to be back in just a bit.
Need your picture taken? Well, if you want it to look its best, then go to the best. It's Sawyer Studios, capturing your special events, portraits, passport, job, and visa photos. Plus, there's more. Also offering professional printing services of business cards, letterheads, signs, and banners. Opened Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a legacy. 28 years and growing. Located in the Flowers Plaza, Carmichael Road. Call 361-7786.
Hey, Dad, want a race?
Well, let's see who's trying to keep up with who today.
Oh, because you need a head start?
I'm already way ahead of you, son.
Keep up with what matters. Joint Care supplements your active lifestyle by supporting your bones, cartilage, muscles with essential nutrients. Joint Care helps to reduce inflammation with omega-3 and replenishes glucosamine, a natural compound vital to healthy cartilage and joints. Choose the Joint Care formula that is right for you. Supplex, Complete, and Max are available at your local pharmacy. Joint Care, a part of the 7 C's family of vitamins and supplements.
Welcome back to Influencers on Guardian Talk Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Lady Shema, and in with me today is influencer creative extraordinaire, Mr. Jonathan Farrington. Of course, we know him from the 242, but he is now on the global stage representing, being a creative ambassador, doing big things. And our topic for today, it is 242 Dreams coming to life on the world stage. And
Yes.
During the break, Johnny, I was mentioning to you about your powerful Facebook watch stream. Listen, I went on there just trying to catch up, with what's going on with this, great, Bahamian influencer. And the stories that are on there, either just a post with a picture or as a video, I mean, it really shows your exponential growth in such a short period of time. You've gone from singing in the churches here, the schools here, community events here, and now you're performing, for the biggest names on some of the biggest stages, especially in the US of A. And the first Facebook Watch I want us to talk about here, and I'm going to call this the Facebook Watch segment, and that is,
I like that.
of course, we know you as a worship leader, but
Yes.
it went up several notches. Are you singing at one of the churches there in LA? Talk to us about that experience. What's the name of the church? How did you get started? And my goodness,
Yes.
take us there. Take us there.
Yes, I am actually I'm leading worship at this church called, and it's so funny that the name of the church is called this. It's called Revelation Church.
Oh, wow.
Yes, the pastor there, well, he's a prophet. His name is Prophet Lovi. He's African, which I like.
Wow.
Yeah, and but it's a multicultural church. Every person, we have white, black, Asian. It's literally just so multicultural, and I also
Very
love
diverse,
that.
right?
Very diverse church, very diverse congregation. And I literally just started visiting, through a friend, just random experience. And I had been away from ministry for so long because God always usually does this with me, is that whenever he sends me to like a new place, because I lived in Nassau, then I moved to New York, now I'm in LA. But every time I've like resided in a particular space, God will send me into ministry. So while I was in New York, while I was in school, I was also actually leading praise and worship at another church. And the way God usually does it is I'll just go and I'll just literally just visit, and either someone will know that I can sing, or somehow I'm connected to somebody in the music ministry. And then I end up going, and it's like in New York, I'll give an example. The first time the pastor heard me preach, he's like, okay, so this is our new worship leader. Like, he didn't even ask me. It was like, I'm like, sir, you don't even know who I am.
He just made the announcement.
Right. Like, you don't even know who I am. Like, what, like, I could be a crazy person. Like, no, he was like, okay, this one is our worship leader. And I'm like, what? So that at this church in LA, I'm there, and the Lord was like, he's like, I'm sending you back into platform ministry, because after the pandemic, I really wasn't doing like ministry on a platform. I was still doing ministry in other areas, but I wasn't doing it like on a platform leading worship. And he told me, he's like, I'm sending you back, into this phase. And this is a whole different level, because, this church is just on a different level. I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna just drop that and leave that right there.
Because the worship experiences are powerful. I mean, they're transcendent. I've watched a few of the videos, and you just take them to a place. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. There's such a freedom, there's such a liberty, and what an experience, right? I mean, what has that community, being in that kind of a community, done for you and helping you on your journey and becoming this internationally acclaimed actor, model, singer? How has that community helped you in that way?
Man, it's so interesting that you're even asking me these questions, because I sit down and I often ask myself, like, how is this happening? So for you to be so, accurate or just keen and just specific on these questions, I got to ask you some questions, miss. Like, you really been snooping in some stuff. But anyway.
You know, I do my research. You
do. I love that about you. But I'm gonna say this, Shema. I thank God for the fact that whenever he calls you, he qualifies you.
Good stuff.
He does. And when you take care of the little, like, I remember singing in churches where there would be 5 people in the congregation, and I'm singing and I'm sweating my heart out and I'm pouring out, and people in the congregation, when it's just 5 people, I'm still giving my best. And I realized that God was preparing me, because now I'm singing before thousands. And I can't even go outside into the front. I have to go to the back sometimes, because people are like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Like, no, there's a testimony that I need to tell him. Or like, it's just crazy, because they're like, you don't even realize we prayed you. Like, one lady was like, I prayed you into this church. She said, because we needed you. We need you.
They prayed you into the church.
That's what she told me. And I'm like, what? But it just shows you, like, the gift that you have. It's so important, because it's not for you. It's literally God will use you to bless people that you don't even know, that you
That's
don't
so
even.
true.
It's crazy. So I'm getting testimonies and people on the praise team who, like, you don't even realize, a girl, she was like, she sings on the praise team, beautiful voice, beautiful personality. I love her. And she's like, just watching you alone is causing me to want to go forward and go deeper in my purpose. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. And it's like, I'm in a place of just resting and thanking God for all of this gifting that he's given me. But I also realized that it was also a level of maturing and processing, and that it has nothing to do with me. It's all about him using me. And I'm humbled by that. Trust me.
Yeah. It's amazing that you just said, I'm humbled by that, because I was just going to say such humility, right? And you're really taking a faith walk, because, you know, you started with this interview, with this conversation, you started out on talking about the importance of faith and really stepping out on what it is that you know that God spoke to you. And I love the fact that you took the opportunity to say that, you know, God speaks to us in different ways. And there are persons, they have their own view and their own vision as to who God is, and they have their own unique experiences with whomever they deem to be that higher power in their lives. And I really love the way that you articulated yourself with that, because I believe that you created a space and openness now for people to really hear from you, because sometimes, based on the way that we express ourselves, we tend to box, you know, people's experiences in, and when they hear a particular thing, they block you out. They don't want to hear from you anymore, right?
Right.
But I really appreciate, you being wise and articulating yourself in that particular way. I think it's so very, very powerful. And with that said, though, I want us to make a little bit of a transition, a segue, because you've been talking about ministry a lot. And of course, that's innate to who you are. That's your foundation. And I believe that that's always going to be a part of your life. But there's also the industry marketplace side, right? Of Jonathan Farrington, you know, this creative influencer, right? And you aspire to become what or who exactly? An actor, a model, and a singer, or define it for us? Because you do a little bit of a lot of different things.
I do. That was something that I actually had to reconcile within myself, because I was like, man, you know, I'm so gifted in all these different things. And, you know, your gift is going to make room for you. And everything that you've been given is something that is embedded in you, that is supposed to bring wealth, prosperity, abundance. It's supposed to give you access. That's why you've been given all of these things. So I had to reconcile with myself. I'm like, well, I'm not just going to use one gift. If I have 5 gifts, I'm going to use all 5. Some may require more attention than others. Some may be more, I would say, more prevalent or more forward than others. But in every season of my life, I needed to utilize those different gifts. I'll give you an example. When the pandemic happened, I literally all of us, we were trying to figure out like what was going on, like what was the world going to look like? Were we even going to have a world by the end of the year?
Truly, you're right.
Yeah, so I had to tap into other gifts, and I had to step up into, different things, my writing ability, my modeling ability, my teaching ability, like all of these other things. I wasn't singing like I was normally. I wasn't even acting because everything, that entire industry had been shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I feel like where I'm at right now is I'm at peace with that. I'm going to maximize every gift and every opportunity that has been presented towards me, especially in the marketplace, because in this industry, you have to be so diverse and ready to pivot. And that's the word that I want to use. You have to be able to pivot and not block yourself and be like, well, I'm just this. I'm just a worship leader, and this is what I'm going to be. Well, then you just might be stuck, like so many other worship leaders that we see today that are stuck in a space. But you don't even realize that you have an ability to speak on certain things, or you have a gifting to do this, or maybe you should start a podcast on something and talk about that, and that's going to flourish you in a different area. You just really just have to be open. But at the end of the day, Shema, honestly.
I really love that word, openness. And, because a lot of times one leads to the next, that leads to another, right? And it's all about even seasons sometimes, because I even noticed that in my own life where, a lot of giftings, a lot of talents, but in certain seasons, one is being used more predominantly than the other. And then in another season, another one of the gifts comes more so to the fore, but they're still all being used just at different levels, different seasons, right?
So true.
And I think, that has happened with you too. And I think that you've also experienced seasons where they were all being used very heavily, right? So I've seen that with you as well. But with that said, talking about diversity though, let's talk about you with this city life experience. I believe Director Vaughn, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Oh, yes.
I saw a very, very interesting piece there. It really took me away. I was like, hold on, that's our Jonathan Farrington? Is this happening? Because it's at that level, okay? And so talk about that experience and what that's done for you, and really helping to open up more doors with you, with your aspirations and your goals.
So now that I've graduated with acting, and I've done a lot of theater work, which is like on stage, I'm now getting into the space where I'm now more in front of the camera. So whether that be modeling for lifestyle images, and or actually working in front of the camera as an actor, like on TV and film now, moving into those spaces more now than ever. So I've been networking with a lot of producers and just building relationships, and a lot of them, you start with relationships, and then a lot of them like, hey, I have a project, I want to bring you on as the talent. These are paid projects. I'm being used now. I just actually completed, and I'm gonna put this plug in, I just completed my first short film with a co-producer. Ooh. And we're actually turning the film into a series, and we're pitching it to a network.
Wow.
So your boy is probably going to be on TV very, very, very soon.
Mr. Creative Influencer from the 242. Yes. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
And I actually wrote the short film myself. Mm-hmm. And we created it, and it's I've seen it. It looks great, and we strongly feel that it is it's ready to transition into a TV series. I'm actually also writing other TV series ideas that I want to pitch to certain networks, because I realize now God is moving me into the space of the creator in a different dimension, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense.
Yeah. So
of what you're carrying. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the creator dimension, where all of these visions and dreams and things that we experience, or we have in our imagination. And if you understand, I keep using the word imagination because your imagination is so powerful. It starts in the mind. And that's how you pull it out and manifest it. So I'm in that space. So I'm actually now, my circle is now really just a lot of people in the industry, actors and producers. Actually at the church where I go to, it's a church full of creatives. My pastor was in the music industry. He wrote songs.
What a community.
He produced songs for Justin Bieber, and he's worked with Chris Brown and Rihanna. So there is space for people in the industry. Just because you may you may be from a different background, or you may not figure out how you may find yourself in it. You can find your space and still be yourself and still function. It's a process. But yeah, I'm my circle is now filled with a lot of creatives and actors and Grammy Award winning producers. It's crazy.
This is so inspiring today. I mean, find your space and still be yourself. You're saying all of these, phrases that's just really like taking me to another place, man. I'm serious. I'm serious. As a fellow creative, it's so very inspirational today. Very inspiring today. With that said, though, I still would like for you to talk a little bit about that piece, that promotional video I saw. It ended with the word "City Life."
Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, so this has been, what he is he's a lifestyle producer, photographer, videographer, and what he did was, that was like a project that we partnered together on, and we actually, from then, that mushroomed into another series that he was producing, that he brought me on as a supporting actor. So that's a show that's going to be coming out where I came on as a supporting actor, and then he also worked along with a few creatives from the Issa Rae camp. So he's just, if you notice, like, a lot of actors, they have relationships with producers, and that's how they get their independent projects out. So he's a fellow producer, and these are some of the projects that he's working on. He's also from the Caribbean. He has Trinidadian roots.
He's also from the Caribbean. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. His name is Vaughn, but we call him Director Vaughn. And just you've seen the work. It's immaculate. And it's amazing. His work is amazing, and we're continuing to work together on different projects. He does music videos, and so I'm one of his talents that he usually just calls on to, like, whenever there are jobs and stuff.
So you're just one of the talents that he just calls on.
Yeah,
but we have your modesty. I really do.
Whatever.
I love your modesty. But listen, it's not enough time to talk about the greatness that you carry, man. I'm telling you, we need like about 3 hours to discuss it. But you're doing such an excellent job at really helping to inspire, to, direct, to guide, those creatives who may be listening in, because, personally, I know a lot of frustrated creatives, right? And a lot of the frustration simply comes from, the nation, the country not really having the capacity to really house or, to receive all that, these creatives carry. Is like, creatives in this nation next to have no choice but to extend and expand to the international arena because of the greatness and the reach of, what it is that they carry and have to offer. That's just, God just did a special thing when he poured out creativity. He gave a couple extra doses right here in the 242. I'm telling you.
Literally did.
He had to. He had to. I mean,
we have something so special.
Very special. And talking about that, talking about the 242, talking about the Bahamas, and, per capita, more than likely, being one of the most talented, gifted places on the face of the earth. I really believe that with all of my heart.
Yes.
I saw, talking about the power of your Facebook watch stream on Facebook. There's a plug. You can go ahead and watch the people. Absolutely amazing. The Progressive Liberal Party, before becoming, the government, of course, they are the government now.
Yes.
They had something going on there where they were really putting to the fore what their manifesto contained. And a part of what it contained had to do with the development of the orange economy, right? And of course, the orange economy, creative economy, also some persons refer to it as the marketing of goods, services, and activities that have cultural or artistic content. And now the government of the Bahamas is really making strides to support the creative, because now they see the value that creatives have when it comes to being a very, very important part of what it is that we have to offer as an overall Bahamas brand. Who we are culturally has a lot to do with our brand, what it is that we export to the world. And so they're seeing the necessity of having to support creatives. Tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Well, that was a pretty interesting experience because that was the first time where I had actually arranged strings the night before we basically we recorded. We had a time crunch, Shema. We recorded the same night that we did the recording. As soon as we did the recording, we got the files and we went to location and we shot the video. So the arrangement happened,
Wow.
the recording happened, and the video recording happened all in one day.
All in one day.
All in one day. Because if you know anything about creatives, we all have different things going on, and this was something that I had to kind of like pull off, like, you know, and we did it because they needed it. They wanted to play it at for the rally. I think it was a specific rally that they wanted to do. So anyway, I got the call. I think about 2 weeks or a week before. Yeah, I want to say. So basically, they reached out to me and they said that they wanted to do something, especially for people that have been affected for COVID, who either had lost their lives or had lost family members to COVID-19. And they also knew that I had shared my story of when I actually had gotten COVID-19 back in New York. So I automatically already knew that this was something that I wanted to be a part of, just because of what the intention was and what they were trying to do. And I was like, okay, well, what song are we going to do? We were trying to figure out the song, and we wanted it something that was going to reach the older generation and something that could also connect to the younger generation.
Perfect choice.
Right, yes. So we chose that song, and the reason why we just wanted it to be something just really just not instrument heavy, but something, you know, strings are so beautiful and they pull out a certain sound, and we just thought that it would just be appropriate. And shout out to Ian Poitier, who was also hey, y'all Poitiers, y'all just some amazing people. Yeah, Ian even from distance, Ian was still had a creative eye, because he kind of stretched me. So Ian was one of the key persons that I was speaking with, and I reached out. I had just sung background vocals for an artist that signed with T.I. and Tiny. She was bringing out some new music, so I just sung background vocals for her. So the string instruments that was used in her production, I had connected with them. So it was so great, because I had called them up, and I'm like, hey guys, I have another project for you guys. Are y'all down to work? And they were so excited when I told them that it was for the Bahamian government and all, you know, well, at the time, a party that wanted to be the Bahamian government. And I just brought them on, and we worked together that day. And I even have videos on Facebook of us in the studio, like working together and arranging it. And here again, I had to step up in a new capacity, because even though these are three different violinists, they somehow couldn't come together and mesh together. So I had to kind of like come in and create this whole. Listen, it was looking back at it, I'm like,
spectacular job, because listening to the arrangement, I mean, it sounds like someone who's been doing that for years, right? And so there is the identification of yet another gift that you're carrying, right? Exactly. That's music production, right? Absolutely amazing, man. I'm telling you, man, absolutely amazing, and definitely something that's worthy of, you know, the world stage. It was done at that level. Of course, the song was Bridge Over Troubled Water. Over Troubled Water, yes, and yes. Just your vocals along with the string, and choosing to use the string instruments, it really brought it home. And it helped it to be effective in its original objective, because string instruments actually bring calm to the soul. There's scientific evidence to prove that. There's research that proves that. Oh, wow. String instruments do, and that's why they're used so heavily in movie productions, especially when it comes to those heavy drama movies. Exactly. That makes so much sense. And so you were being inspired in that way and didn't even realize what was happening. And so
that's crazy. That's crazy right there.
Amazing. And so, you know, like I told you, there's just definitely not enough time, you know, in 60 minutes to just talk about all of the greatness that, you know, God's done in your life, that he's doing and that he will do. I just wanted to give you the time and the opportunity to really help to encourage and to inspire creatives here, and not just here, also around the world, who may be listening in other countries, that they too can branch and reach out, right? We're going to have to wrap up the show right now because of time, but I can't let you go without talking about this last video on your Facebook watch that was mega, and I'm there certain that you already know exactly which one I'm talking about. I'm trying to remember her name right now. This one it got 41,000 likes and almost 1,000 shares. So I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. Internationally renowned vocal coach, Cheryl Porter. You're dressed up as Spider-Man. I'm like, hold on, what's happening?
Yes.
You have 41,000 likes on that, 910 shares to date. That particular
Crazy.
video definitely helped to put you more on the map, right?
Yes.
To establish your footing. Talk to us about what that experience was like and what it did for you. And, to just end on a inspirational note from an experiential standpoint as we wrap up today's show.
Okay, so this video, man, so one day I was in Hollywood and I was actually dressed up as Spider-Man because, again, sometimes I do, in the entertainment industry, you do different things, and I'm one of those persons. Again, I use all of my gifts. I realize that I just have this intrinsic ability to entertain, whether I'm on a stage, whether I'm behind a camera, whether I'm hosting, it could be anywhere. And Hollywood is a place whereas literally you could be walking down the strip and your favorite actor or favorite singer or whoever could literally be walking in front of you or behind you. Like, it's literally that crazy. So there's always something going on. So I was there for a performance, and of course I was dressed as Spider-Man, and I'm in the corner and I turn around and I instantly see Cheryl. And if anybody knows, if you don't know who Cheryl is, I don't know if you live under a rock or whatever.
Somewhere. I'm serious.
Because Cheryl is one of the most adored women in the musical spaces globally. This woman has over a couple million people on her TikTok, Instagram. She's just amazing. And I walk up to her as I normally do. Because again, and if you notice, I've been telling you, like, sometimes I will be just in certain spaces and randomly, literally somebody who I know or who I'm supposed to be connected to will show up in my space. It happened with Michael K. Williams. It happened with a few other people and so with her, I walked up to her and and she was so like blown away because she had come to LA to record for the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Yes.
And I just started talking to her and I said, I love your voice. And I said, I sing too. And she said, well, sing something for me. I was like, can I sing for you? She said, yeah. And her husband recorded the video and did that. And it went viral.
It did.
It imploded. It didn't even explode. It imploded. It was like, she posted that on her social media platforms. When I tell you, people were like, they were like, is that Usher in there? Is that this? It was crazy.
It created a platform for your name to be, broadcasted abroad even further.
No, literally, it connected us and opened up opportunities. When she came back, she had like a mixer, a party for her interview with Ellen, and I was able to meet so many other people in the different spaces. And she and I were, we're on first name basis now. Like, that's my girl. Like, when she comes back to LA, we have a few projects that we're gonna be working on, and just so many open doors. But again, you have to be ready. And I want to speak to creatives right now in this moment, as you said, like, don't be afraid to express yourself. Don't be afraid to show every facet of who you are, because in every season and every moment of your life, you have already been equipped with what you need to showcase your ability. And that's going to be the thing that's going to get you over to the next level. So don't shy away from that. Like, really press into that and know that you can stand before many great men, and they will see your gift and they will say, I want him, I want her. Because you have something to offer. You have something special, so don't be afraid.
That's a good word. Don't be afraid. To end today's show. You're reminding me of the Slingshot Concepts there. Use whatever it is that you have in your hand. It's going to take you to the next level, to the next phase, to the next dimension. Awesome word, Mr. 242. I'm telling you, man, creative influencer, our very own Jonathan Farrington, coming to us all the way from LA, California. I really appreciated your time today. Very inspirational, very inspiring, very encouraging. Thank you so very much. As we discussed the topic, 242 Dreams coming to life on the world stage. So that's going to be it for today here on Influencers. I'm your host, Lady Shema. Until next time, blessings.
Influencers was brought to you by
Joint Care, supplements to keep you active. Sawyer Studios, located in the Flowers Plaza, Carmichael Road West. Global Transformation Media, transforming you from the inside out. The Affirmation Nation. And Guardian Talk Radio. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.